This is not the smartest guys in the room. I always wonder, should it be not the smartest guy in the room, not the smartest guys in the room? Well, guys is what we landed on, Tom. So when I'm setting up the room, if someday you see guy and someday you see guys, well, I just haven't figured it all out yet. So uh, I try to cut and paste and set up as many rooms as I can in advance and do it about a month at a time. Go on, Tom.
I mean, I think it works for us. We're guys, right? We're guys. There's two of us. There's multiple guys. There's multiple guy, which is guys, right? It's the plural of guy. So that makes sense to me. I think it works. I think it works. We're not the smartest guys in the room, and it could be guys and gals. I mean, I think it's like, often it's sort of a. I think it's a gender neutral, term for the most part, right? Like I don't think people are going to look at that and go like, oh, they're not being inclusive. Like it's because it's about us. We're not the smartest guys in the room. There's other people in the room that are smarter than us. That's the point. But yeah, I think it works. I mean, it's, we're just a couple of guys, a couple of knuckleheads looking for to surround ourselves with smarter people than we are. Right. I think that sums it up.
That's
And
pretty
we're,
well said. It's pretty well
yeah, I was
said, Tom.
Thanks. We were talking right before we came on. We're gonna go back to basics a little bit today, right?
I'm down with the going back to basics. So Tom has made his bones. I was watching Godfather the other day, and Mo Green says, "I made my bones when you were." So I guess Tom comes from a world of video production, and I come from a world of publishing. So we thought we would share some tips, ask you guys for some tips, and some of the things that have worked for us, haven't worked, some of the things that are maybe could be major roadblocks, things like that. So let's go down that route, Tom. But we got Prof T and Joyce here. Prof T gives us a heart, Joyce in the house, and I think Prof T's written a book. So Prof T, let's say any pitfall that you suggest somebody may avoid, and we'll just keep this going.
Hey, good morning. Oh my gosh, thank you. So glad to be here. Can't believe like how time is flying, you guys. Wow, feels like I was just here yesterday with you guys. So, pitfall, I would say for me, I'm a new author, and I learned a lot of hard lessons along the way. Two things I'm going to say. If you have a story, which we all have a story, nobody has the market cornered on you. If you have a story and a burning desire to share a message, I would definitely tap into that creativity and start reaching out to folks like you guys and other people that we all know and love who can direct us. So definitely reach out to somebody for clarity. And then, secondly, make sure you know who you're working with. There's a lot of, I would say, publishing companies, publishers, but you have to know the difference between self publishing, vanity press, and credible publishing companies. And that's where I'm going to leave it at that. I can add a little bit more later. So get advice and make sure you know who you're working with if you decide to pull the trigger. Thank you. This is Prof T from Philly. And it isn't chilly today, you guys. It's nice out.
It's
Thank you.
supposed to be 50 degrees this weekend, Prof T.
Yes.
When I go to the Steeler game, I will not be freezing. I'll be
Woo, woo, woo.
cheering. And hey, I just want to say, by the way, Tom, look at this. For anybody who's not on, anybody who live streams or doesn't live stream, now you're going to have to find us on our live stream, because I'm wearing the coolest shirt today, and I want people to find this shirt. It says "Don't Stop Believing." So, and it is a picture of Santa Claus. How it says everything we need to say. Julie, I see you. Debbie, you got to go look at the live stream. Check out my shirt today. Don't Stop Believing. I think I got it at, where did I buy it? I think I bought it for about $5. So that's pretty much my budget on if you can get a quality shirt like this that says "Don't Stop Believing" for $5 and has a picture of Santa, you succeeded. Tom said we're going to get back to our roots today. Don't let me get sidetracked. See, that's how quick this room goes astray. Tom said we're getting back to our roots today. We had the idea to share publishing and video tips, and Prof T just shared some tips with us. So we're going to keep that boat rolling. So,
Can I ask a question?
yeah, sure.
So I've got a question for you or for anybody else in the room who's also, I mean, you're the publishing expert, right? But anybody who's written a book or kind of gone through this. So as you know, I'm in the process of writing a book myself. Manuscript is complete. Now we're in the sort of editing process, and one of the things that I'm going back and forth with my publisher on is the subtitle. So, and here's my thing. So my book is about my legendeering strategy process and how to use it to sort of build community around your brand and to humanize the world of business, right? That's my kind of stated mission. And the question is, do I need to use the word video in the subtitle? Because my publisher is insistent. She's not insisting. She's insistent that I use the word video in the subtitle. And I don't know that I have to, because it's about yes, it's about video, but it's about a lot more than that. And I don't know that like people need to know that it's a video strategy going into the like on the cover of the book, right? I don't think that's going to make the difference between who picks it up and who doesn't. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Okay,
And
let's
obviously,
dig into.
anybody else that wants to chime in, I'm all ears. This is a
I hope they chime
open
in, Tom.
question.
So the question is, one, what's the title? You won't tell us the title. You might not yet, but does the title tell them what the book's about? I once wrote a book called Don't Double Bread the Fish. What the heck does that mean? And I thought it was, a cute title. Now, sometimes if you read 200 pages of the book, you'll figure that out. And then it could be this massive, brilliant thing where, like in Red Badge of Courage, you find out 300 pages into the book what that meaning is, and you're like, wow. Or in Catcher in the Rye on page 280, you figure out what the Catcher in the Rye means, and you think it's brilliant. Other times, people might say, I'm not even picking this book up because it doesn't tell me what this book is about. So I'm just going to go to the next book on Amazon that says what this book is about. If you're willing to accept that some of those people that are reading for that might move to the next book, okay. If it's for the art of the title or something like that, then you may go a different direction. Prof T. Julie Joyce, what do you think?
I can quickly say just for my book, because mine's a self-help book. It's called the grid system. People are like, what the hell does that mean? Like, what grid? There's all kinds of grid. So my subtitle is pretty clear, creating more of what's good in your life. So I think it depends on the kind of book, but just the title itself, I think you're right, Tom. And I think you're right. Sometimes people want to know, like, if I pick up this book, what am I going to be reading about? Am I going to learn how to fix a car? Am I going to learn how to become an electrical engineer? Things like that. So for me, I believe it was just a matter of it's a self-help book, and it helps people create more of what's good in their life. And who doesn't want that? All right, thanks. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.
Go for it, Julie. What do you got?
I say, okay, so keywords, searchability. Yes, if people are looking to up level their game, if your book necessarily is not on videos and how to create videos, something that is in alignment with what you do and it is capturing the human experience in business. And maybe you could do a play off of something like that in terms of definitely making a strong tagline. If your book's called Legendeering, no one's going to know what that is. But it's really capturing what you do so people can search it and put those keywords, and then making sure that and Dom, I'm sure knows more than I do, making sure that the categories you place it in are appropriate as well. That helps out exponentially. Right, Dom?
Julie, I just like everything you're saying, and I jump in. I'm lifting weights on a Saturday, Tom. That's what I do in summer. In winter in Pennsylvania, you can't go out as much, so my activities
Oh my
switched to
gosh.
indoor. And I saw Julie was hosting a room on publishing, and such
And
brilliance.
you slayed it in there. I mean,
E-
that's
e-
the brilliance I like to see from Dom, because he knows what he's talking about and he's
even
shy
though
about it.
even though I was huffing and puffing, it was still so brilliant, Julie's room, that I had to get myself in there. Hey, back to this. You guys, nowadays, if you look on Amazon and stuff like this, a lot more authors are using what I would call a tagline as well, question at the top of the book. So there is much more where you'll see a subtitle and then a question on the top of the book. Is your media serving your purpose? Is your content producing the results you want? It's something like that. Then you could go into whatever that other thing is. Hey, Michael Lozier's in the house. Go on, Tom.
So I want to kind of answer, because there were a couple of questions in there, both from Prof T and from Julie, and I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So the title of the book is Legendeering, right? And you're right, Julie. Like, that word doesn't necessarily mean anything to anyone off the bat, right? It's not a keyword. So a subtitle is going to be important for this book, right? Here's the thing, though, is while the book is in two sections. The first part, or two parts. The first part of the book is theory, right? And the second part of the book is execution, but it is not a how-to book, right? And I want to be clear about that. It's not a how-to book, because it gives guidelines and sets guardrails and sort of helps people formulate how to approach creating a strategy like this, but it doesn't tell you step by step how to do it, because because it's infinitely customizable, right? And that's sort of the idea, is you should be creating content that suits your brand and your business. It is not a one size fits all strategy, right? And so basically it sort of demystifies and explains the production process, but doesn't tell you, like, this is what you do step by step. So it's not a how to. And that's one of the reasons why I'm reticent to include the word video in the subtitle, because I don't want people to pick it up thinking it's okay, this is going to teach me how to make a video for my business, because it's not really. It's going to teach you how to execute a process or a strategy built around video communications, or that uses video communications as its centerpiece, but it's not a how-to book, right? It's not a step-by-step guide per se. So I'll give you a couple of the subtitles we've been kicking around, to give you guys an idea, because I don't mind sharing that. It's not a trade secret, and see what you guys think. So one is so the title is the word Legendeering, and then there's kind of two that I like. One is Humanizing the World of Business Through Better Communication, because I think that's a little bit that does a good job of sort of holistically giving you a sense of what the book is about and what the goal of the book is. Another one is How the Simple Act of Giving Can Transform Businesses into Brands That Matter. And then the third one is How Better Video Communication Can Humanize Your Business. So those are the ones we're sort of kicking around right now.
I think
But
the
yeah,
last one is a mouthful. Like, the last one's a mouthful, and I don't think
Yeah.
you're talking just about video. I think you're talking about content and producing something to bring people to where. So what are you doing? What are you giving these people in this book? Even though it's not a how-to, it is a how-to.
I mean, it's an outlining of a strategy, right? And that strategy does have broader application. It is not just a video strategy, right? It's an overall communication strategy. My focus is on video because that's where I cut my teeth. That's my expertise. That's my background. But it's a broader communication strategy, right? Legendeering is really about treating people like people and communicating with people as people rather than treating your customers, consumers, audience, community like data points on your P&L, which is what most businesses tend to do, right? They dehumanize their customers, and so they look to generate transactions rather than humanizing their customers and their clients, their audience, their community, and looking to build relationships, which is what I believe they should be doing. And that's what legendeering is all about.
And you're
Tom,
bringing back oh, sorry, go ahead. I mean, he's bringing back the core of what communication is, sitting around the campfire, telling stories, and it's almost going back to the future in a way. So
yeah, I'm digging it,
One of my
Tom.
favorite movies from my childhood, Back to the Future. So I'll take that reference.
And when it comes to
That-
writing, Back to the Future is almost considered like a perfect movie. Go on, Julie.
oh no, I mean, go with it. If that's one of your favorite movies, I mean, riff on that one.
Riff, what a word. Tom, I love this idea of messaging because Tom is you do a lot more than, even with your clients, you're doing a lot more than video. It's messaging, it's branding, it's storytelling, it's humanizing. I would try to get every one of at least in the back cover, I'd try to get more of those key words in there. Interesting. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room, as you can see that. Hey, Swifty, what'd you want to say, my friend?
The word humanizing is throwing me off. I mean, I know what you're trying to say. It just almost doesn't seem like it fits in. That I don't know why. I like the second one a little better. Maybe it was because it was a little shorter. Like Julie said, the last one was a bit of a mouthful. But I think you used the word humanizing in the first and the third one, and it just doesn't seem like it fits for some reason. Just my opinion.
I appreciate that, Brian. Maybe it doesn't seem like it fits because people don't think businesses should be human or treat people like humans. Maybe it's a cultural comment. Seriously, like I'm not being glib. I mean that. Like it might be that I wonder if that's because culturally we're so accustomed to like businesses being separate from human beings, all while they're all run by human beings and built by human beings and service human beings, but somehow they're separated from human beings, right? And like I think that's a cultural construct that I think we should tear down.
Right, and that could be. I guess I came from a time, and again, maybe I'm showing my age, but where there wasn't that separation. Where when I lived in the city, in the city and right outside the city, you did business with mom and pop places, and you did business with, like, there wasn't that separation years ago. I would agree with you. There is more now than ever. I mean, how much more separate can you be? How much more dehumanizing can it be than to order something online, not talk to somebody, not interact with somebody, have it show up at your door? If you don't like it, send it back. I mean, the whole system is dehumanized. So I would say more so now than ever is this dehumanizing of our experiences with business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, I think it's really been the last 40-ish years that we've sort of seen this sort of trend away from business. And yeah, I mean, it's, I could go into like a whole thing. I don't want to hijack the room going down that rabbit hole because I've got a whole theory behind that too. Because of course I do.
No, I get it.
But yeah, no, I appreciate it. But I think it's just one of those things. I think it's a social construct that we should tear down. Like businesses are built by humans, run by humans, and designed to help and serve humans. And so we need to humanize the world of business and stop treating people like dollars and cents on a
That better
balance
be
sheet.
the first line. That better be the first line on your back cover. Businesses are this, run by humans. There you go. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. We got some heavy hitters here. Boom, boom, boom. Joyce, we're talking publishing tips and video tips. You can ask a question or drop us a gem. Go on.
Good morning, Tom. This is what I talk about with cannabis. I talk all the time about how it's an opportunity to create a new way to understand business, and the leadership I see with the women I'm talking to are the people to do it because they are caregivers. And this idea that we can form a business that is monetized and provides an income and generational wealth is also caring for the people. It's a flip on how things really work. So I just love your mission, I guess. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm in a book. That's true. I've been encouraging cannabis, and it's an anthology of people in the cannabis industry. And I've also written novels, which I've never gotten published, but I've gone through the whole query process, trying to find an agent, basically trying to find someone who likes me. But I just, publishing and using your voice through words is really important. And I love learning the tips that you give out here. So that is me for today.
Joyce will hang out here and I'm sure Tom appreciates those kind words of knowing that you like his mission.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joyce. I appreciate that very much.
I'm pushing everybody to the live stream today. If you could see the live stream, Tom's cheeks are rosy and red and he's smiling away. So Joyce, we appreciate that. Okay, we're going to meet our friend Julie, then Michael. Julie, give us a publishing tip or video tip. Julie shared a story the other day, and Julie, you shared it publicly, and now I want to share it. Julie had mentioned that she was a trial attorney at one point, and she was so nervous speaking publicly that she actually passed out while she was presenting, I guess you would call that there. And to turn and now be this media guru that she is when she gets on. I had a friend that was actually in person in a presentation that Julie did, and said the room was on fire. The actual room was rocking and the walls were rocking. So Julie, would you like to share a media or publishing tip with us?
Oh my gosh, this is like telephone, Dom retelling my story. I was in mock trial in federal court and I didn't pass out, but I blacked out. Like I don't remember anything, and it scared me so much that I just swore I would never speak in public again. Not until 3 years ago, I started doing it. And gosh, Clubhouse really did help me speak, just getting on stages. And then I forced myself to just get on actual stages again. And I can't say I haven't looked back. It's super exhilarating. But I guess tips for what was publishing or
video. You've done both. MediaCasters does it all, Julie.
I'm not good at video. I'm not great at video.
But you're making TikToks with your little dog, and they're great.
I've got another dog too. I need to present him. I just got a puppy. But I think it's about just doing it, getting over the fear, because our fears are what hold us back, especially as business owners. And, no, I think I said this before, no one really cares about you that much. That I don't remember where I said this, but no one really cares about you. And that sounds harsh, but to remember that when you're going and speaking, that nobody really will remember. They'll remember how you made them feel. So just do it. Bring along a partner if you have those nerves that can calm you down. But just start doing it. Start looking stupid. Start failing, because failure is where leaders are born. Thank you.
Boy, that was a good one, Julie. Failure is where leaders are born. You should.
Oh, I know. I should write that down.
Yeah,
like
write that down. That's a good chapter. That's a good tagline. Nobody steal that. That's Julie's right now. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. We got okay. Michael could be. I bet Michael's got an IQ off the charts. Michael
Michael
Lozier.
never fails either. I haven't
No,
seen him fail.
never
And he's
once.
a
Right
leader,
now,
though.
Michael always succeeds. I think that's what you mean, Julie.
That's
let's hear
right.
it, Michael. Tell us
He's
about it.
on me. He's on me now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. My name is Michael Lozier. As you can see, I'm a Canadian. I live on the west coast of the country on an island in Victoria. I'm the author of 3 books. I have a few rooms on Clubhouse. Julie introduced me a year and a half ago. So thanks to Julie, I've kind of reinvigorated my career that I thought it was kind of semi-retiring. And I'm just loving all the friends. I know almost everybody on stage here. So that's a testament to good energy. I had a big breakthrough this week. I like to read things. So when I'm watching I don't watch TikTok, but Instagram videos and other videos, I catch myself reading the text on the bottom and not really watching. And I'm thinking, I like that because I can watch TV and read something and not have to have the phone up. And didn't it occur to me that I could do that with my video? Well, I was on the hunt for it. So I was so thrilled. I think it's still on my Instagram account. I found a little video. I think it was maybe 12 minutes long. And I found the little thing where it says I want to say translate, but that's not the right word, caption in Instagram. Well, it was like it was Christmas when I saw that video, saying my exact words. It was so much fun. A huge, big win for Michael Lozier, who figured out how to do that on his own. So if you go to my Instagram account, you could see them too. Thanks, everybody.
Michael, thanks, man. Always appreciate when you're around. Let's go down that route of captions. Tom, where do you stand? Should we caption everything?
Anything. So yes, but for a couple of reasons. So you should have captions or captioning as an option turned on for all of your content, right? And that's just for accessibility. You want to make sure that anybody and everybody who wants to consume your content, who wants to listen to your message, who wants to take in your message that you're putting out through video content has the ability to do so. So, right. So you want to make sure you're inclusive. And it's an easy thing to do. Most of the video apps have automatic captioning built into the apps now. So, whether that's YouTube or like we're live streaming right now, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube all have auto captioning. So is it perfect? No, but will they get the gist of what you're talking about? Absolutely, right? Some of the obscure words that I use, maybe not always. They may not get those right. But generally speaking, it's a good thing to do just for inclusivity. The other thing is that if you're creating any content that is going to be consumed or is designed to be consumed on mobile, you absolutely should include captioning. And for those videos, I actually suggest that you don't just enable it as an option, but you actually embed the captioning in the video, right? So like if you go to my Instagram and you see any of the reels that I've done or my TikTok, you see any of the videos there, they all have captioning burned into them. So you can't turn it on or off. It's not accident. It's always there. And the reason for that is most people watch or consume content on their phones with their phones on mute more often than not, right? And so what you want to do is give them the opportunity to see what you're saying, right, in text form on the video, and then give them the option, and they'll take the option if they want to. They'll unmute you so they can actually listen to you say it if that's how they're going to consume it. But for a lot of folks, whether you're, think about this when you're scrolling through your Instagram feed or you're flipping through Facebook, whatever the case may be, you're not on. You don't have that stream on unmuted, right? You might be sitting in a doctor's office waiting for your appointment, or you might be out in public somewhere sitting in a coffee shop, and hopefully you're one of those people that's considerate of your surroundings and you don't just have your phone blasting stuff all the time. So for most people, they consume mobile content on mute. So you have to embed those captions. And then obviously, like I said, the other reason is inclusivity. You want to make sure everybody has the option to consume your content and to get your message, whether or not they have the ability to actually hear what you're saying through the video. So that's my thought. Always caption your videos. And if it's for mobile, embed the captions. Don't even make it an option. Just put them in there, make them permanent. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom. So On Instagram, you can go over and you can push a caption, and you can create 10 different cool captions. Like it'll be big, little, green, white. On TikTok, and somebody tell me different, or on TikTok, if you push caption, it will actually just caption like it's writing the words like in a Times New Roman font at the bottom of the screen. Is anybody seeing that differently, or am I just not making my videos right? No?
You're right from my experience,
Okay.
Dom. And here's what I do is I just from a visual perspective when I'm uploading a video from a mobile device, say I usually will go to Instagram first. I'll upload that video and then I typically use a downloader, right? Like there's a bunch of websites, a bunch of different ones. You can just Google it. You'll find an Instagram video downloader, right? Just Google that. And you copy and paste the link into the downloader. You download that video back to your phone from Instagram. It won't have like the Instagram tag on it, but it'll have the captions or any titles you embedded or any graphics you put on it, right? And so the beauty of that is you can then take that same video that have saved to your phone and upload it to other mediums with the captions you like without having the Instagram logo burned in, which obviously TikTok doesn't like, Facebook doesn't like. Well, Facebook doesn't mind as much because they own Instagram, but TikTok in particular really doesn't like. And vice versa, if you save something from TikTok and try to go post it on Instagram, they don't get along, right? They're competitors, so they don't like it when you post stuff with somebody else's logo embedded in it. So you use the downloader to get rid of the Instagram logo, and then you can re-upload it wherever you want. With the captions, but without that logo. So that's what I do. I use the Instagram captioning because I like the format of those captions better. And then I just download the video and re-upload it to other websites.
Cool. I told you guys we are digging into video, and Tom said back to our roots. Besides me telling you to look at my shirt that has a picture of Santa Claus on it. So not the smartest guys in the room. Here's a smart guy, Mr. Brian P. Swift, multiple books. He's got a new one coming out, Developing True Grit, and he's re-releasing one of his first books. So, Brian, you got a video tip or a book publishing tip for us?
Wow, I'm a big believer in video, and I'm still, I am still trying to figure that all out. And I guess I'll go back to whether you're writing a book, putting out a podcast, or creating video. My tip would be just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm not sure what perfect even means with all of that. I know we've talked about this topic before, which was editing your editing your podcast, or people we've had on have had conversations with it have told us they got 15, 20, 30 of them done, but they're still not pulling the trigger because they're still editing and trying to get them perfect. I'm not sure what that is. So I mean, do your due diligence, and you want to do the best you can, but don't wait. If you've written a book, get it out there. If you want to do podcasting, get it out there. I think the worst thing you could do is try to figure it all out, because I don't think there is one answer right now. I think this is an evolving type of process. It isn't book writing. I'm sure it isn't video. It definitely isn't podcasting. So as it evolves, there's going to be more questions. So if you wait to find out all the answers, you're just putting things all unnecessarily off. So just jump in and do it. Do it. Put the fear aside and do it. That's my tip. I'm complete.
Mr. Swift, love it. Love it. The Nike slogan, just do it. I'm a believer in that as well. My thing on the just do it is start small. Start with maybe that means Googling, like Tom just ran a marathon. Maybe the first thing you could do is Google running a marathon, or get out and take a walk, or start the process. Do something that you can move it forward rather than the first day going out and trying to run all 26. How would that go, Tom?
Yeah, if you went out and just tried to run 26 miles without building up to it, one, you wouldn't, and two, you would almost certainly injure yourself. So, trying to do too much too soon without enough preparation and training and experience can be a very dangerous thing, whether you're trying to run a marathon or trying to create content or video for your business. The thing that I would expound on that Brian just said was this idea of perfection, which I know is something that I've talked about in here before as well. I would say rather than not trying to get it perfect, accept that it will be imperfect, right? Just accept that. Going into it with the understanding that it will be imperfect. There is no such thing as perfection. Everything I do is imperfect because I am imperfect. Everything all of us does is imperfect because we are all imperfect, right? There is no perfection. It is unattainable, except that it will be imperfect, right? Don't try to achieve perfection. Don't put, don't put that pressure on yourself, and don't compare yourself, right? Like I've talked about this before too. Be fair in the comparisons you make. Do not look at your favorite creator, right, and what they just put out today and compare your first video to that, right? Go back to the first thing they ever posted, right? And look at that. Look at where they started and allow that to sort of color and use it to give yourself some grace to be imperfect and to learn and to grow and to just be honest and be authentic about that process with your audience. They'll forgive it. And not only will they forgive it, but they'll appreciate that transparency and they'll go along on the journey with you as you improve your content, right? And as you create better videos for them, they'll be along on the journey and they'll be rooting for you. So yeah. So don't try to be perfect or achieve perfection. Just accept that it will be imperfect and move forward.
I agree, Tom. It's about progress, not perfection.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Brian. How many people on this stage, on anywhere in this room, clap if you have you watched a video this week? Any video, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, any of those? Okay.
Wait,
How
this
many?
this week or this hour?
Yeah, okay, fair. Really, so that's a reel, a TikTok, anything like that. So then the next question would be, now knowing that we ourselves are consumers, how many of you have made a video this week? A TikTok, a reel, a Instagrammer? Okay, good. Okay, very interesting. Why not? Why not you? Hey, look, somebody else is doing it. Why not you?
Tom?
Hey, okay, let's see. Julie, go on.
Julie, can you just put the link to the live stream above so people can find it easily? Above your head.
Let's do it, Tom. I think you can figure that out. If not, I'll move you to my own YouTube, and then you'll see some real interesting videos.
I was going to say we'll run through the links. How about that?
It's everywhere.
Will rotate through them because we're on 2 YouTube channels, we're on 2 Facebook, at least 2, I think maybe 3 Facebook pages. We're on Twitter, we're on Twitch, we're on LinkedIn, so we're all over the place. But we'll rotate through some links so folks can find us.
Okay, that's cool, Tom. You just volunteered. That's what somebody told me one time. If somebody's capable in the nonprofit world, if you work with somebody and they want to do more and they can do more, you never get in their way. You say, go for it. You just make sure they're on mission. But after that, if they want to do more and they can do more, well, we need you. Okay, Dr. Tachi, video or publishing tip? What do you got for us today, Dr. Tachi?
Good morning. Well, it's going to be video. So 3 quick things. This is my opportunity to do a public service announcement against ring lights once again. If you can avoid them, please do. They leave a ring in your eyes, in your forehead, on your nose. and it's not really professional. I think sometimes people get fooled into, oh well, ring lights are the most professional thing. But think about it. Have you ever gone to a professional studio and you've seen ring lights? Never. Ring lights are good for example, putting on makeup, etc. So you'll find a lot of makeup artists for maybe a media that use them, but as a lighting source, unless it's far enough away from you or you have it far enough to the side, if you look at it, we're going to see it. Number two, share what works. If you're doing things with video that are great, and you don't have to be an expert, if it's something that works for you, share it. I think the way we all get better is by sharing what we're doing that works. And it may not work for someone else, but at least we know that information is out there. So the big thing I wanted to talk about is transitions in editing. I saw something the other day when I was watching YouTube, and I watch a lot of YouTube. This one vlogger was the popular style for transitioning to the next piece is actually a jump cut, meaning where you just cut and put things together and there's no other video or transition that covers that place where you put the two edits together, so it looks jumpy. However, that's the style in YouTube for a lot of vloggers, which is fine. It's an accepted style now. You may not want to do that in a film unless that.
Dr. Tachi, you cut out. You're killing it. So I hope you come back. Turn your mic on and off. Man, go on. I'm digging everything she's saying
And
here.
oh, okay. Where one shot flows into the other, dissolves into the other. I, that's not the best idea. And this is why. Because it indicated that there was a passage of time. And it made it seem like she did this and she was talking forever. And it was like, and then my dog said, and then I went there, and then it crosses off. And then after that, and it made it seem like one really long video that you use across dissolve to indicate a passage of time. So pay attention to what transitions you use between the different parts of your video, because across dissolve or fade in, fade out could indicate that time has passed, and that's not what you're trying to do. So think about that before you do it. So that's what I
Dr.
have.
Tachi, what is
Yeah.
the simplest one you would suggest? Somebody, a beginner that's just clipping videos together or cutting, what would you do?
Yeah. So again, it depends on what you're trying to say. So simple ones. Let me tell you what, and Tom can probably co-sign on this. Simple ones that people use, that filmmakers use, that video people cut, the regular cut. People do use a cross dissolve, but be careful because that indicates passage of time. Fade in, fade out. So cross dissolve, cuts, and fades are the three ones that are typical in terms of that. But just use a simple cut. I will say this though, when you're cutting, if it's a YouTube style thing, that's fine, where it's a jump cut. But if you don't want it to look so jumpy, what you need to do is have either some video to cover up where, or a photo or something to cover up where that jump cut occurs, or make the actual size of the video different. And you can enlarge what your video looks like so that if you have a place where you have to jump, keep it the same, cut on both sides, and then just enlarge that piece of video so that your eye, the viewer's eye, is not going to be thinking, oh my gosh, it's a jump cut, because now you have a different size video. So it just looks like a regular cut or transition. Does that make sense? Or not?
Dr. Tachi, this is
Okay.
absolutely fascinating. And I just want to say, when I think about this room each week, it's like the content like that you guys are bringing that makes me excited to come back. I'm like, damn, I took notes. So absolutely, Dr. Tachi, go on.
So I just wanted to jump in. Obviously, I'm going to co-sign on what Dr. Tachi just said. I couldn't be more excited that with her public service announcement against the use of ring lights. I can't tell you how many people excitedly tell me that they got a ring light only for me to turn around and look at them and ask if they're doing makeup tutorials. And they look at me like, huh? And I'm like, because that's what ring lights are designed for, right? They're designed for product photography and makeup tutorials. And if you're not doing one of those two things, don't use a ring light. So because it's not what they're for, right? You're using the wrong tool for the job. It's like trying to put a screw in with a hammer. It just doesn't work, right? So love that, appreciate that. And then in terms of the editing, I definitely agree with what Dr. Tachi is saying, is be cognizant of the types of transitions you're using, use them with purpose, make sure that you like, look, we all have Google in our pockets, right? So like do a little Google research. One of my favorite things I've heard recently is Google is a search engine, not an answer engine. So make sure you look up a couple of different sources and you're checking to see kind of like what are sort of common themes in terms of what you're finding in as far as answers go. So you don't just click on the first one and then take that as gospel, right? Do a little bit of due diligence. So remember, it's a search engine, not an answer engine. But do a little Google research, find out what kinds of transitions, what different types of transitions are available to you based on the kind of editing that you're doing or the kind of software that you're using, and then how best to use them and what they're designed for, right? And then the one thing I would say too is if you're editing a piece that where you're going to use coverage, right, which is what Dr. Tachi's talking about when she's saying you use like another piece of footage or a still image or something like that to cover where the edit is, we call that coverage, right? When you're using coverage, look up J cuts and L cuts. Just Google that. Those two things, J cuts and L cuts. They're two very simple editing techniques that are designed to help you use coverage well and effectively, right? So just very simple things. You can do them in any editing software. If you're using coverage, you will also have the ability to use J cuts and L cuts. Look it up, use them, and stop using jump cuts for everything, right? Jump cuts are fine when they make sense, but stop using them for everything. Like it's just kind of lazy. Just my opinion. But yeah, I love the I love the teardown of the ring lights, man. They've been the bane of my existence for like 3 years. Hate them. I hate them so much. Professionally, I've used them one time for a very specific stylistic shot that we were doing. I've used a ring light professionally once in my 22-year career in production. So just gives you an idea of whether or not it's the right tool for the job most of the time.
Well, there goes our sponsorship from ring lights. So let's keep this train moving. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. John, my friend, we're talking video, we're talking publishing, we're talking storytelling. We need a tip from you or a question, my friend. What tip would you give to these other people that are out there doing it? What are they doing wrong? What are they doing right? What do you think, my friend?
The one tip I would give, first of all, I don't do very little video, and I don't have a book. So, with my radio show, my podcast, and social media, my tip is for publishing on social media. When you're creating content for social media, remember to invite a guest. Why would they be interested in it? Always invite them. Like, imagine your content as being a dinner party. You got to invite people to dinner party, whether it be a podcast, radio show, or a social media post. Avoid as much as possible making statements and focus more on how to create engagement. And you go a lot further. So remember, when it's about me or I, it stands for ego, easing guests out. And when we say guests, that means the listener, consumer of your content. So if we want them to consume it, we've got to give them a reason to consume it. So when publishing, especially on social media, treat it like publishing content for your format and your audience and not for you. That's just my tip for today. Thanks.
John, brother, good stuff. And Tom was talking about subtitles early in his book, that he's working on subtitles. And my belief is with a title, with a subtitle, with what you write on the back cover, same message in publishing. Like, why should the reader pick up this book? They turn it over. How is this book going to help them? If you can answer that question and they look at it and say, yeah, right now I am struggling with mental health issues. Yeah, I am struggling. I am a parent of addiction that is looking for answers. I am this, or this. And you look at that book and say, I only got 30 seconds. First, I only got 10 seconds. And then I flip it over because I got 30 more. and I read a little more. How does that help me? So good tip, man. Thank you. And it makes us think, even on every social media post, are we engaging? Leading, asking a question, getting them involved with that content. And I know you do a good job with that, John. I notice when I'm looking at, like, you're telling about what happened with the officers and things like that, I see, man, I need to read this. So thanks, brother. Okay, we are heading on. I like these pictures like this with the background. I got to figure out how to do that. Next year, sometime, you're going to see an orange background behind me, just like Gabriel has this blue one behind him. Gabriel, okay, it says cinematographer, audio engineer, guitar nerd, guitar coffee nut. I said guitar nut, and video marketer. So this guy probably has some tips for us on how to. Let me push follow. That's me reading his bio, and probably my vision is bad, so I'm this close up to the screen. Okay, Gabriel, what kind of tip would you give us? Or ask a question. Go on, my friend.
Hi, good morning. First of all, I love that everybody is jumping up and down on ring lights. That makes me so happy to hear. Ring lights are terrible. They're not diffused at all, and they're usually not at all color accurate. The cheaper they are, the less accurate they are, and the more likely they are to make your skin tones look weird. There are so many good, inexpensive alternate options out there, edgelit LEDs, or just getting a small a small COB light and using a bed sheet. I mean, you can diffuse light really easily for not very much money and not very much more than ring lights cost. But all that said, my big tip is that 50% of all video is audio, at least 50%, if not more. So much as a content marketing creator, so much of what I see that separates really good content from really poor content is in audio. It's one of the first ways to tell whether or not somebody is a pro. So many times you see somebody show up with, a Sony mirrorless camera and the little Rode video mic thing that goes on the camera, and they're interviewing somebody who's 5 feet away, and it sounds like it was filmed in a bathroom. It's a big echoey mess because they are not correctly miking the person. I'm actually, along with a cinematographer, I am a pro audio engineer. I have record credits. I've worked with pretty high level artists. And so when I go out and capture video, I always use a boom mic, always use a lavalier as backup. But just basic audio principles. There are so many easy ways to mic people in video or mic yourself. Even a good just lavalier mic hidden under your clothes can work wonders. Even if you're just filming on a phone, like you're filming for your reels or something. There are lavalier mics. Rode makes one that can plug into your iPhone. There's lots of different ways to go, but proper audio is so important. And again, is one of the fastest hallmarks of whether or not somebody knows what they're doing.
All right, I got to jump on this because I couldn't agree more with Gabriel. First of all, love that you also hate ring lights. But also, I know I've talked about this in here before, but I actually had this question posed to me, like, what is the first thing, if I'm going to spend money on improving the quality of the content that I'm producing, what is the first thing I should spend money on? And my answer was a microphone. If you're going to spend $50 or $100, get yourself a microphone, right? Get a microphone. And then the other thing to always remember is that with microphones, proximity matters, right? If the microphone is, like Gabriel was saying, 5 feet away, 10 feet away, people are going to sound like they're at the bottom of a barrel, right? Like they're shouting at you from across a giant bathroom, right? It's going to be super echoey, hard to hear, hard to understand, and no one's going to watch it or listen to it, right? So proximity matters. The microphone has to be close to the person that's talking. You could get we could get super in the weeds on like, different microphones, the pickup patterns of those microphones, when you should use them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure Gabriel could school all of us because I'm not an audio engineer. But I've been in the video production world for 22 years, and basically, I can't tell you how many times producing a television show where my first concern was whether or not we had good audio, because I can cover up problems with video, but if we don't have the sound, if we don't have the conversation, if we don't have, like when we were doing when I was doing the Coast Guard show, if we didn't have the radio communications or the intercom communications inside of the helicopter, it was a lost cause, right? But if we had the audio, we could always build the video around it, right? So I 100% agree. If you're going to spend any money on creating content, on improving your presence on video, online, any of those things, on improving your presence on Clubhouse, right? Get yourself a microphone. Gabriel's got it right. Audio matters a ton.
Yeah, it's so important. A lot of people do ask like what microphones to get, and I always tell people the same thing. One of my big clients for video content is a guitar brand, and constantly you'll see people in the comments go, "Ooh, what microphone is that?" The microphone is not the difference between good and not good. Having a good microphone, any good name brand microphone, is great. The difference is where you put it. Where you put a microphone matters 100 times more than what it is. I can record vocals and guitars with it, any good quality microphone. It's just where you put it. The types of microphones and patterns and all that, yeah, I can go in the weeds on that stuff all day. I just got back. I was filming at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, shooting some content down there. But I mean, I've shot stuff in hotels and factories and on city streets and all over the place. And where you place microphones matters so much more than what they are. And then things like setting correct input gain, making sure you're capturing loud enough without having input gain cranked so that you're recording everything in the vicinity of what you're filming. All that, just again, that stuff is so much more important than what the microphone actually is.
Gabriel, man, you are absolutely killing it. John, Dr. Tachi, Brian, loving the space. We went from audio to video, publishing, just talking with experts. Thank you, Julie and Joyce and Prof T. Let's keep this rolling. I'm enjoying it. I'll tell you, about 5 years ago, let's say I started making like YouTube videos and stuff. I used to hold my phone up, and I still do from times, because I think there is a value in holding your phone at times. Just turning that phone around, make the video, talk into it, whatever. But one of the things when you said like $50 mic, I bought a $50, $150, I think it was 50. I was going to say 50 or $100. It was a Logitech mic, lapel mic. And for the first time, that lapel mic allowed me not to be, it was wireless. It allowed me not to be connected with the phone. So then I could be further away. I could do more things. I could shoot a basketball. I could play a game with my daughter. And it allowed so much flexibility. And now I notice when we're like filming for other stuff now, the hire, when I'm not doing it, they seem to quickly put the lapel mics on when they're recording, so, or else you see the boom mics or something. But I notice everybody's got the lapel mics, the higher the level of production. So that's what I'm seeing, Tom. What do you say?
So I would say this: if I think the higher the level of production, a lot of times what happens is you'll notice all of a sudden you don't see any microphones anymore, right? And that's like one of the things that I took away from like my production world, is that the mic is visible, like the lavalier, the lapel mic, as you were calling it. It's called a lavalier microphone. That lav, as it's typically referred to, that lav is visible if you're delivering the evening news. If you're sitting at a news desk, you can see the lav and it's fine, right? In any other situation, broadly speaking, like to speak in generalities, in any other situation, I want that microphone hidden. And there are lots of ways to do it. There's lots of equipment that's designed specifically for doing that. I do that on all the stuff whenever I put a lav on someone, for any of the content that we produce for our clients. We just did a branding video for a manufacturer here to help them win a $5 million grant. And in the course of doing that video, we had to film on a factory floor during the manufacturing process with it going on in the background. So I basically had to coach them to yell, and I had a lapel mic, I had a lavalier mic on them, but it was hidden. So you can't see the microphone, and you just, so like, it doesn't take the viewer out of what's happening, but you can still clearly hear what they're saying. That, that takes a little bit of audio wizardry also, and it's a little bit of, what you call, you got to record some nat sound, you got to get room tone, et cetera, a bunch of different things that Gabriel is probably familiar with to help quiet and isolate the dialogue. But yeah, I hide microphones whenever possible. I don't want to see them. I think generally speaking, they're distracting, especially when people see a dead cat in a shot. They get very distracted by that. And if you don't know what a dead cat is, it's whenever you see a microphone that has that gray, furry, fuzzy looking thing that kind of looks like cat fur on it. It's called a dead cat. Like, that's what it's called in the industry. I don't know the etymology of that term, but that's what it's called. And yeah, I tend to keep microphones out of frame as much as possible, but I always try to put them in the right place. Because like Gabriel's talking about, proximity placement of the microphone really, really matters. So yeah, but yeah, first money you should spend on making your content better, on improving your content, is buying a microphone. And you can get one for like $50, $60, less than $100. You can get a halfway decent little microphone that will make all the difference in the world for the content you create.
Did I tell you guys I left I was out in California recently, and I left my little wireless lapel mic or lavalier on the beach. I even went to the Lost and Found and filed a thing. I only want that one. It treated me so good for 5 or 6 years. Damn, that was $50 good investment, and now it's gone. So it is what it is. Gabriel, okay, thank you. Let's cruise along here. Not the smartest guys in the room. We got links flowing. We got live stream. We got it all. We got some experts here. Ibrahim, give us a publishing or video making tip. Storytelling too. Go on. All the same.
Thank you, Dominic. And I was just very enlightened by the information I learned about ring lights. Yeah, so that was very, very helpful. Gave me something to think about. So thanks everyone for those shares about ring light there. The one thing I want to share is on video is keep it simple and authentic. I think that people appreciate when these come out very authentic and people can feel it in the message. It doesn't matter where you are for the most part or what resources you have. If you can give it the best, give it all, give it your all, and be passionate and knowledgeable about your topic, your material, leaving the value that people want. One of the best examples that I like to share is Dr. Tashi's videos on Instagram, and it just comes out so real. And the live that she does sometimes in the car while she's driving, or it just comes out so real. So it's very important to keep it authentic and real, because the last thing you want to do is to come out as somebody that you are not, and then it becomes disappointing eventually when somebody realizes that, and then you lose your audience by that. So just keep it authentic, keep it simple, be on point, be passionate about your message, be knowledgeable about your message, and that would drive it home. So thank you. Hope that helps.
Ibrahim, thank you. And I'm sure Dr. Tachi appreciates the praise as well. And Dr. Tachi's consistent as can be too. I know when I go on Instagram at a certain time of day, Dr. Tachi's probably getting ready to do her show, and I jump in there a lot of times and make comments, and she's like, Dominick, what are you talking about? But so I agree, and she brings it, the energy every time, and you're just, it's authentic as can be. Well said, my friend. Okay, a content producing king, our main man Wally Green. So Wally, we're talking publishing, we're talking video, we're talking tips, asking questions. We did audio. We went all over the place. Audio, book titles. So what do you got for us, Wally Green?
Hey man, what's going on? It's great to be here. And please do not mention the word ring lights anymore. It makes me cringe. Just the thought of a ring light makes me cringe. So don't mention that word anymore. Keep it on the hush. Yeah. Anyway, I have a tip which I think is useful for everyone, especially with social media. I think now we're coming towards the end of the year. There are posts that you have posted like way in the beginning of the year, which probably you were really passionate about, but these posts didn't do well, right? And a lot of times, what most people will do when a post doesn't do well or when it doesn't get a lot of views, they say they just kind of like say, "Screw this, whatever," and they leave it and they forget about it, and it just sits there with its low views, doing poorly. I would like you guys to go back to those posts, especially the ones that you were really passionate about. You were really passionate about it for a reason. Just because it didn't get just because it didn't get a lot of views or do very well, doesn't mean that it was a bad post, right? So I would like you guys to revisit posts from the beginning of the year that you posted that you're really passionate about that did really poorly. Look at the post. It's a year later, right? Within a year later, you have new ideas, you think differently, certain things work better, certain ways you put things together work better, certain ways you edit, certain ways you use captions, right, will work better. And these are things that you learned now that you're at the end of the year. Go back, revisit those posts, and ask yourself, what could I do better? What can I do better? I do this all the time. I've taken videos that I've posted maybe 3 times within the year that only got like 10K, 20K, now are at 1.1 million. So go back to those old posts, especially the ones that you were passionate about, that you felt like they didn't get the love that it deserved, and ask yourself, what can I do better? And with the new knowledge that you got at the end of the year, apply it to those posts, and then you'll see those posts will do better. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Wally, man, I think the message is killer. I just started working on a content calendar to share with people. Like a lot of times I'll work with a storyteller that maybe is starting to tell their story for the first time on social or beginning to write their book. And on one of the days of the week, I tried to have minimum of 2 each day. It's an aggressive calendar, but on one of the days of the week, I think it's Saturday, it says repurpose content from prior months. And exactly what you're saying there. Go back to something you like and the same message, and now you put a different picture there. The same video, the same message of a video, do the video again a different way. Use that same video and write a different tagline. Ask a question like John Jay was saying. So it's such a simple and effective way to do things. You have a piece of content you believed in. Why would you not use that piece again? So well said, my friend. What do you think about that, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, Hunter, you know exactly how I feel about repurposing content and reposting content. And I'll say it again for anybody in the room that hasn't heard me say this before. You should absolutely be repurposing your content. Take your longer form content, break it down into smaller component pieces, repackage and repurpose it across platforms. 100% you should be doing that. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to repost, to reshare your content, right? Just because it's not new to you doesn't mean it won't be new to somebody else. It's always new to someone, right? You're adding new folks to your audience. You're building your community. You're growing, you have new followers that you didn't have before. It's going to be new. And when people get hesitant about that, I'll ask them, have you ever watched a rerun of one of your favorite TV shows? And almost without hesitation, they go, yeah, of course, right? Have you ever watched your favorite movie more than once? Have you watched your favorite movie more than once? Yeah, absolutely. Of course you have, right? Because you enjoyed it, because you liked it. You didn't get upset when you were like flipping through the channels and you came across an episode of your favorite show that you'd seen before, right? You didn't get angry and flip off the TV and say, screw this, I'm out of here, I'm never watching this show again, right? You watched it, you enjoyed it a second time, sometimes a third time, right? Same thing is true of your content. If people enjoy your content, if they find value in your content, they won't be upset about seeing it again. Don't fall into this crazy trap that everything that you have to just put out an endless stream of new stuff, right? Repackage and repurpose and use across platform, and reshare posts, reshare content. If it still applies today, then reshare it. Use it again. Give people a chance to see those reruns and new people to see it for the first time.
Love it, man. And so, Brian P. Swift, I'm going to come to you here. And I just wanted that we use this term repurpose. I use the term repurpose all the time. I'd love to change it to, like our friend David Campbell, upcycle. I'd love to say, take that content that you had from 6 months ago, a year ago, a month ago, and upcycle that content. Like Wally said, tweak it, make that piece of content better. You believed in it before. What could you do now to share it a different way? But Tom, based on what you were saying, I wanted to go to Brian P. Swift here, because Brian is releasing a new book, but he's spending just as much time, not just as much time, but he's also focused on the first book he wrote about 6-7 years ago, maybe longer, sometime in that. Brian, what is the belief on the first book at the same time? Go on.
Well, I've had a lot of people who have purchased my second or third book ask about the first one, and I ran out of them at some point. And I've gotten a lot of requests, and as people have reached out to me, I keep hearing from other people I know, like I'll send out my second book, and they're like, the first book was probably the better of the two. And I was able to get the reprint. I was able to get Lou Holtz, who's a pretty prominent sports figure and speaker and iconic coach from Notre Dame, give me a couple sentences after he read the book, and I asked him, can he give me a couple blurbs that I could put on there? So I put that on the front cover. So it's just kind of repurposing, I guess, and getting it back out there. Um, and I guess I probably sold more of my first book than I did any other book, which I keep going back and trying to figure out the why that was. But it's kind of going back to your first baby, like, for those of you who wrote books, you know what it was like to open that box when your books came that first time. And even though it's 7 years old, I'm excited. I'm excited to get it out with this blurb with Lou Holtz on the cover, and as excited as I am to put out my new book, hopefully in a week or within the week, developing True Grit. So yeah, repurposing, and like you said, upscaling. That's to the point made about taking your old content that didn't do well. I totally agree. I mean, that's part of the process, right? The getting, not perfection. It's about progress. And what we've learned now, I definitely would go back and change some things on some posts from 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago. So, if you look at it that way, you've got a lot of content. Most of us probably have a ton of content. If you go back and I'm new into this game, so I'm sure people like Tom and maybe Julie and you, Dom, who've been in the game longer than me, have crazy amounts of content to upcycle or upscale. So I'm complete. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. And I wanted to point that out just because as we're talking about like content on social media here, here's a guy with a book that you can go back to the book and repurpose the book as well. And he's saying the book's not dead. You see a guy like Robert Kiyosaki 30 years later still selling Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Brendan Bouchard does videos on whatever he's doing. You see 9 videos a day on the same piece of content. Well, because he believes in it, it's quality content, and so they keep putting it out there. Maybe they reach somebody new. So thank you, Brian. Hey, Gabriel, you clicked. What'd you have to say?
Yeah, I this is such a good topic and such a powerful topic, and it kind of dovetails into what the room was on kind of when I entered earlier. And you can use, you know, I think so often people focus on making a piece of content. Their goal is to make a video, and they should be thinking about making a campaign. And that's something I talk with about like clients all the time, especially like brand clients where they're starting at zero with video and they've not done video before. You can plan out your content, meaning a video, and then if you plan it out correctly, you can at the same time be making loads of supportive content for campaigns, for social media, for smaller, shorter form videos. There's so much opportunity to do that out there. So often, if you remember, I don't know if you guys did this, but in 6th grade, we had to do like a writing test, and they teach you like how to outline a paper for the first time, how to outline the topics and then all the subtopics. If you look at a video like that, a piece of content like that, and take your broad subtopics and make those your main piece of content, and then your broad topics and make those your main piece of content, and maybe mention those subtopics as part of your main video. But then while you're mentioning your subtopics, just be thinking about, oh, I could take this one subtopic and just add a few more lines here, just flesh it out a little bit. And I could take my broad 2-minute video or 3-minute video and then have a bunch of 30-second videos to support this in the months to come. So I'm doing that with a client right now, literally just talking about, I'm doing some work for Petco, and they're talking about like, hey, these are things to do if you're adopting pets, and then there's things specific to cats and things specific to dogs, and it's just in the planning. It's really easy to do. It sounds hard, but it's not, because you could take any one of those little subtopics and probably talk about them forever. We all can. I'm doing it right now. Sorry, but the reality is, think like that. When you're going into plan out a piece of content or plan out a video, think, what are the pull quotes? What are the McNuggets I can pull out of this, and just expand on those by 1 or 2 lines and make little 30 and 15-second cuts of for social media.
So Gabriel, I I love hearing you say that, because it just reinforces that I am not alone in being a professional in the production space, in video production in particular, who has to have that conversation with their clients all the time. I can't tell you how many times I have had a client or someone reach out to me, a prospective client reach out and say, hey, I need to make a piece of content for my website. I need to make a video for social media. I need to make a video for or a television commercial, or whatever the case may be, right? And my response to them almost always is, look, there are sort of some fixed costs for production, right? So when we set up to go shoot something, like, you're paying for, essentially you're going to pay for the day, right? So like, if we're bringing in a crew and setting up a shoot for the day, you're paying for the day. I can't pay people to show up for 3 hours for video production. That's not how it works, right? I need to buy them out for the day. So because of that, you may be shooting something that only takes 3 or 4 hours, but you're already paying for the whole day. So let's figure out what else we can cover in that day. Like, you should never have a piece of video. You should have videos, right? So like, let's figure out how else we can use that time, because then the costs become incremental, right? Then you're adding on post-production costs and things like that, which are incremental in comparison to doing a piece of content as a standalone, right? So like, I always encourage my clients, it's not only strategically the most effective way to approach content production, it's also the most cost-effective way to do it, right? Is to stack that production to make a bunch of content at once is always more cost-effective than it is to do one piece at a time, right? So like it's sort of like Costco, right? Like it makes more sense to buy in bulk than it does to buy one roll of paper towels at a time, right? Just get a whole package of them. You're going to need them.
Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with that. And there are so many opportunities. People, when they think of creating that much content, it gets to be that standing at the bottom of a mountain and I'm just overwhelmed thing. And if you can start small, go on your website. Everybody has an FAQ page, right? Frequently asked questions. If you don't, you probably should. But what are the things people most commonly ask you? Make those videos. Make videos answering those questions. What are the things that people ask you all the time? Answer those questions on camera. In terms of reusing content, another thing came to me a second ago too. Like, you want to reuse some old video content. I love anytime you can do things like with a number, like 3 tips for this, or 5 tips for this, or 3 reasons for this, or 5 reasons for this. But the cool thing is, so you can make a video that's 3 reasons for something, and then you can take those 3 reasons and you can make them own their each little short video, right? Then later, you can take that and use motion graphics and completely ditch the footage and just use motion graphics and the audio. So there are always ways to just reuse that forever. And you can take, one shoot for, a 2-day shoot or something, and you can end up with 100 pieces of content really easily, just by thinking ahead a little bit and being willing to pay for some extra editing.
Gabriel, man, love it. Times 5 platforms. Think of that. 100 pieces from one shoot, 100 pieces of content times 5 different platforms. You could say that thing different ways per platform. You're getting, I mean, it's really infinite, the amount of things you can create from that one piece of content. And I would go to my book writers, and as a publisher, I love the written word. But I'm telling you, you have this book. You wrote it. You got 30 chapters, 10 chapters. You can break these things down exactly like Gabriel's saying. I could go into your book right now, any of those chapters, and pull out quotes. I could go into any of those chapters and say, hey, could you do a 2-minute video on it? It's endless. Okay, we lost a friend, we lost somebody, but we picked up our man Jason. What's going on, Jason? We're talking video production, we're talking publishing and storytelling. What kind of tip you got for us?
I'm not really ready to answer that quite yet, honestly.
Okay, hang out, man, and we'll just keep going on, and you flash your mic if you want to. You can always ask a question too, but we're going back and forth on these. Me and Tom started out the day. We said, okay, let's get back to our roots. Let's talk publishing. Let's talk video tips. And then we had some people tell us about lighting today. We had some people tell us about audio. So it's been a great room. We've talked about upcycling, repurposing. Tom, where do we need to take this conversation? What are you thinking? We wrapping it? What are we doing? We rolling?
I don't know. I mean, does anybody else have any Does anybody have any questions? Right. I mean, we've been, I feel like Gabriel and I have been going back and forth since Wally spoke about repurposing content and how to get into it. And this is something I could talk about all day. Does anybody else have any questions or want to know any tips or how to get started, or any struggles they've come up against, like for video or for publishing?
Tom, I'm going to go down a road that somebody was going down before, and I just want to point this out. So I spent 20 years in sales. And I would still consider I'm in sales somewhat. And you would think, so a lot of people, and I consider sales a beautiful dance. It's networking, it's getting to know people, it's maybe providing them with a product or service that could change their world and maybe make their life easier. But one of the things in that world is we always thought that it took 10 contacts, 10 imagine I have to talk to Tom 10 times about whatever that product was. So, I mean, I was in business insurance, health insurance, 401ks, and I had to talk to that client 10 times about that 401k plan, converting it over to my company, how our funds were better. 10. And that was minimum. Now, in a world of social media, people think that they're going to post something one time and they're going to get sales from it, or one time about their special offering at the end of the month or their speech or whatever, and they're going to get. Number one, the rule of sales was 10 before, and that was face to face. The algorithms on social media, I don't care who you are, unless you're The Rock or I even, what was the big Instagrammer, Charlie D'Amelio, even her, you can see Charlie D'Amelio, hugest TikToker. If you look at her TikTok views right now, they're down. Like, she used to get, if she had, let's say she had 100 million followers, every video got 50 million views. TikTok was basically allowing 50% of her content to go through when she was their number one person. Now it's nowhere near that number. The social media platforms are only allowing 5 to 10% of your content out to your each post, 5 to 10% without comments going out to your people. So you made that one piece of content and you think somebody's going to buy. Well, the rule of sales is it's 10 times minimum, and your piece of content is only going out to 10% of your audience. So you need to contact 20, 30, 50, 100 times before somebody's going to make a move based on what they see on social media. So that, well, I posted 5 times. I just got started. I'm not seeing anything yet. No shit. And it's because and here's somebody that's, did they, like John Jay had said earlier, give. And now you came on in your post of the first post, it was you selling, it was you pitching. You haven't given them anything yet. You don't have the right to ask. You haven't posted the 50 times, the 20 times. You're nowhere near the amount that you need to post to go to ask for that business. So Tom, I had to touch on that. I'm passionate about it. So go on.
I mean, I would argue you don't have to ask, right? I would argue that instead of creating content that you think is going to drive sales, right? And what most people think, and like, flash your mic or clap it up in here if you've seen this kind of content on social media. We are company X. This is what we sell. This is how much it costs. This is where you can get it. Right? Who's seen that content on social media, right? Does that content work on anybody? Probably not, right? Or not very many people, because it's not about the audience at all, right? It's all about the business. They're not trying to develop a relationship, right? Sales is all about relationships, right? They're not trying to develop a relationship. They're just trying to create a transaction, right? They're doing the video equivalent of putting a pack of gum next to the cash register, right? They're trying to get you to make an impulse buy. And often it falls flat. It fails because it doesn't do anything for the person. So I would argue you don't have to ask. What you have to do is deliver value for your community, deliver value to your audience, tie that value to your brand, and that will provide them the opportunity to reciprocate that value back to you, right? To follow the law of reciprocation and get that value back to you. And of course, I could spend an hour just talking about the rule of reciprocation, but trust me, it's real. It exists. It's embedded in all of us, and people will follow it if you give them the opportunity. If you deliver value to them first, if you give to them first, and then give them the opportunity, provide them an avenue for them to return that value to you, they'll do it. They'll create opportunity to do it. And they'll do it either by becoming a customer or advocating for your business, helping you build your network, deepening their relationship with you. They'll do it in a variety of ways. But yeah, don't miss the boat. It's not about generating transactions. It's about building relationships, right?
And Tom, I want to follow up on that. It's
Go ahead,
give,
man.
give, give. It's give, give, give with no expectations. You're not keeping score with each person. Tom's out there giving, giving, giving. Like the year that he spent on Clubhouse, give, give, give. He didn't say, now I'm going to try to turn this business on. It's time for me to ask Wally. Time for me to ask Wally Green. Wally, buy something, because he gave long enough. Now Tom wants you to buy. No, you just give, and you do good, and good comes back, right?
I've changed my tune slightly on that based on a conversation I had with an old friend of mine recently. And he sort of pointed it out. He was like, no, he's like, actually, you do have an expectation when you give, right? And your expectation is there. I actually have two, right? One, I expect that when I give to someone, it will make them feel good. And I expect it will make me feel good to help them. So I do have expectations when I give, but those are my expectations. My expectations are that they will feel good and I will feel good as well as a result. Right. And so it was interesting. It was an interesting conversation I had with an old friend of mine, but yeah, I do have those expectations, but I do not have any sales expectations. I do not have any monetary expectations. I do not give to people so that they will pay me for stuff. I give to people because I genuinely want to help. And nothing gives me more joy, more pride, makes me more grateful than when I do help someone. That is the best feeling in the world. And that's what I'm after. I'm not after money, right? I'm after a fulfilling, happy life, right? And that gives me the most joy, the most gratitude, and makes me the most fulfilled. So that's why I do it.
That's
I
beautiful,
think
Tom. Go on, Gabriel. Then we'll hit Julie
I think
Rock.
that's such a Tom. I think that's such a good perspective, and I think it's so interesting. I absolutely love / am stealing your analogy about the video equivalent of a pack of gum next to the cash register because I think that's fantastic. A lot of what we're talking about, I come from a marketing background, and a lot of what we're talking about is purchase intent. People developing purchase intent. That doesn't mean necessarily buying something, but what it is about developing the intent to interact with a brand or a product or a service. And the more times people see something that is of value to them from that, the more likely they are to engage with it. I think it's great to not have a monetary expectation of things. A monetary hope is certainly valuable. The other thing in marketing you'll hear people talk about a lot is the 80-20 rule. I think, 80% of your content being things that educate or entertain as opposed to selling. And it's really kind of more like 90-10 in most markets now. So a lot of times the content you're making is there to educate your audience or to entertain them in some way, to give them information or to make them feel uplifted, or bring them into your journey, things like that. The other thing I kind of wanted to mention as we're talking about this idea of creating all these different pieces of content and what this all could mean is if you are somebody who makes content for other companies for a living, um, looking at it from this angle is really important because you're also creating work for yourself. When I go into pitch a company, or Tom probably goes into pitch a company, and we're talking about making all these different pieces of content, we're road mapping how much work we're going to have for months. And you're making yourself valuable to them by helping them develop a strategy, by helping them see, oh, I can do so much more here. I think the cool thing that I found, like with places like Clubhouse, is being able to help people on here. And I've never, I'm sure like Tom, I've never solicited for like clients through Clubhouse. But the cool thing for me is when we get to talk to people and help them get ideas and help them develop their own roadmap, help them develop the idea of, okay, I can make this. These are all these things I can talk about myself or my brand or my company to help educate and entertain, potential clients and things like that. And I think it's so much fun to be able to help people figure out how to grow what they're doing. And helping other people be successful is kind of a joy in and of itself, and that's why I joined the platform too. So I'm 100% with you, and I love everything you just said, Tom.
That's a sign off. Thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate that, man. Tom's smiling ear to ear here. So, Julie Rock, where do you weigh in on all this? How you been, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me up. Good to hear this conversation. Yeah, I'm just listening in and thinking like, where is social media really getting me? I think for me, I know I'm posting, right? But my sales or my connections, I need to be doing one to one if I'm going to sell any of my services. So, I'm using social media as a way to gain credibility in my brand. But then as far as me, making those connections, I think it's more one-on-one conversations with people and just catch up calls with people that I know already that I've done work with, or have people introduce me to people that, potentially need my services. So it's something I'm just thinking about as you're having this conversation. It's like, how much time are you putting into these social platforms? And I use LinkedIn as my main one, but thinking about some of those other ones that are not really doing much for me. So thanks for.
I would just my hope is that my authors, whoever or anybody I'm working with, would look at social media as a way to network, as a touch point, as a way to be in the vortex awareness. I'm out there. We know that a percentage of the population is out there using it, and I like to say, if a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, does it make a sound? So sometimes if your consumers are out there looking for the content like Julie Rock produces, or they're out there looking for something fun like Wally Green shares, and you're not there, well, then are they going to find that message from somebody else? So I consider it just a touch point, just a awareness. And I want to just touch with this story. One of my authors the other day, he's releasing a book right now, and we're talking about social media, that kind of thing. And he starts looking at the analytics, and I'm like, hey, you got to watch those analytics. You got to watch those analytics. They can hurt your feelings, make you sad. And he's like, I'm glad you said that. He said the other day that somebody reached out to him that hadn't liked a post they were connected with. They hadn't liked any of his posts. They hadn't commented. When they reached out, they said, hey, I see you're writing a book. And then they got into talking, and the person became a client of his. So he says they were aware of me. They knew about these updates, but so he called them the silent. He had a better term than I can think of it, but the silent. I won't say silent majority or silent whatever, but that are really checking out your post. They're not the silent. I'm going to call it. We gave Julie took a subtitle before, Julie Loken, so I'm gonna call it the silently engaged. I'm stealing that for something, but that's all I got. So I'm wrapping. Tom, I hope you're ready for a wrap up, because that's all I got. I'm done talking. I got no more. So thank you everybody
I
for
was going
being.
to add in, but it's all
Yeah,
good.
no, hold on, man, Jason. I'm done. That doesn't mean you're done. So you do your thing, and then we'll go to Tom. Go on, Jason.
I was just going to say, there's lots of parts of social media, and I think that in my experience, um, a lot of us are trying to figure out the best part of getting the attention to fulfill our purposes, in which we create social media for, and the other part to sales. Before you can really create the relationship is based on you're getting a repeat, visitor. That's where a relationship really benefits, is when that, the person on the other side, who you have a piece of information, you have a service, you have a product, you know, it adds to their experience of whatever they want for. Like, I was a waiter for, 15 years, and a lot of times I would hear the customers come in and complain like, I'm sick and tired of fettuccine alfredo, lasagna, and whatever. It was an Italian restaurant, and they always liked me because, hey, I'm really curious about the menu, and I'd like to have an experience. And they just straight out sometimes tell me, because they would know me for a while, and that's where the relationship come. And they would bring friends in. They're like, hey, check this guy. He knows his food. And I would just say, you know what? Let me ask you a few things about yourself and just tell me what you don't like. You know, do you hate onions or what? And then I'd be like, okay, so here's what we got. You know, this is something that I just tried the other day, or I had the other day. And you can consider, if you don't like it in 2 bites, you know what? I'll get you something else. It's just that simple. And leave it on there, you know, and not just try to press it, because I feel nowadays, like in sales, it does feel like people are hitting sometimes social media so hard to get that connection, that relationship, and they've lost it. It's just like you're repeating everyone else is doing. And people will say, well, you got to niche it down so much. And I'm just like, sometimes people don't want to know all the niche. They just want to know, do I have an option? You know, and can I trust you with that option? And then I just say, you know what? The option's yours. If you find some fulfillment, let me know. If you don't, it's cool enough either. But I think that's where a lot of people get trapped in their content, is like, you know, is it content, number one, that you enjoy first? If you can't enjoy your own stuff, you need to go back to the drawing board. Number two, if you enjoy it, you know, talk about why you really enjoy it. That's simple, because people want to know where they can have fun. And if they have to constantly check and see if you're real or not, or if you can't back up what you're selling, you know, then they move on to the next person, and it just repeats the cycle. So I think when it comes to sales and social media, enjoy the experience, be realistic. You know, there's all kinds of different methods. It's just an expansion of your brand, you know, and that's all I got to say.
Jason, man, thanks for jumping up. Appreciate it. Be real. Isn't that what it's all about? Thank you, my man. Tom, that was we gave you more time to think about. I just like to throw Tom under the bus each week and say, hey, give us something that we can leave us all on a high note. So that's the kind of pressure a good friend puts on somebody. There you go, man.
Yeah, you love to just. I'm not even necessarily sure that you're like at that place where you're like, okay, we're going to do the wrap up now. I don't even necessarily get a warning, and all of a sudden I hear Dom go, all right, Tom. So what is your profound wrap up for this week? And I'm like, oh man, I got to scramble and try to come up with something prophetic and profound, which is not always easy to do. We've talked about a lot of things today that I'm super passionate about, and you know, Dominick and I both agree that this room today has been a ton of fun for us, and we hope for everybody in here. You guys, we decided to go back to our roots today, talk about publishing, talk about video content creation, you know, talk about sort of the basics of where this room started and sort of where our fields of expertise are, and provide people the opportunity to ask questions and drop tips, which is how we started this room more than a year ago. Together, I was going to say the room I'm a Johnny come lately. The room predates me, but Dom and I really kind of took over as hosting this room. You know, with that at its core, and I really enjoyed the conversation today. We both did, and so I want to thank all of you for being here, for being a part of it, for sharing your passions with us, whether that be talking about how terrible ring lights are, or encouraging people to, you know, to embrace their imperfections and create content and put themselves out there in front of their audience and their community. So here's what I want to leave you with today, something that is huge on my mind. And something I'm going to be talking about later today. I'm actually part of a panel discussion later this afternoon, where we're going to be talking about collaboration and the value of working together with other people, and something else that I'm super passionate about, and that's leading with value. And so I just want to encourage everybody as we leave this space today, to carry that out with you as you go through the rest of your Wednesday, as you go through the rest of your week, until we come back here next week. Collaborate with others. If you don't know the answers, try to surround yourselves with smarter people like we do here. That's what the title of this room is about. We're not the smartest guys in the room. We want other experts to come in and help us so that we can all learn together, so we can improve together, so we can do better together, and always try to deliver value for your community. Provide value and expect to make other people feel good and to make yourself feel good in the process by delivering that value to other people, by giving that gift of value to other people. And as a quick little sort of homework assignment to further that, I'm going to encourage everyone, if you haven't seen it before, it's a 2-minute and 15-second video. I'm going to ask you to Google it, to look it up. Look up Chipotle Back to the Start. Everybody's heard of Chipotle, the fast food restaurant chain, who likes to remind everyone that if you want guacamole, it's extra. Make sure you look that up. Look up that video. Watch Back to the Start from Chipotle. It is really embodies a brand leading with value first and foremost, and the kind of brand content that I'm passionate about developing for my clients, and the kind of content that I think all of you should be passionate about creating for yourselves and for your own personal brand. So yeah, look that up. Thank you as always for being here. Go out into the world, be relentlessly authentic, lead with value, and give. I promise it'll pay dividends in the long run, and in the short term, it'll make you feel good. And there's nothing better than that. So thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate you. Until next week, Dominick and I will remain not the smartest guys in the room. Thanks for being here and helping us. We appreciate you. Bye-bye.